Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Untitled Reviews. Now, Razer have always been a manufacturer that we've rated very highly on this channel, and their Huntsman V2 does look to perhaps continue that trend. Specifically, the older Huntsman V2 analog was one of kind of my keyboards of the year last year, and arguably the Huntsman V2 that you see on your screen at the moment brings that fundamentally stratospheric offering back down to earth a little bit by swapping the switches back to something a little bit more classic with Razer's normal optical switches. Nevertheless, you're going to still be getting the same suave design, brilliant construction, and rather gorgeous lighting that you got with the V2 analog and a lot of other Razer's products. And it's kind of priced accordingly. As a premium keyboard, you could argue that the 199 quid or $199 price tag of the Huntsman V2 is perhaps justified, but to those looking on, it may be a little bit expensive. Quality can come at a cost, but with the Huntsman V2, does it represent value for money? So, what about design when it comes to Razer's Huntsman V2? Well, much like its analog-based sibling that I've waxed lyrical about on this channel before, the standard Huntsman V2 is quite the behemoth of a keyboard. It's remarkably well built, and there's practically no deck flexor in what feels like an entirely metal kind of top plate and outer chassis that is somewhat comprised of plastic on the bottom as well. Its military grade construction means that this should last for absolutely ages. It also looks pretty suave and quite mean, I suppose, with that matte black shell on the top, with that matte black outer shell and the aluminium top plate that also feels rather good indeed. Compared to what Razer were doing a few years ago with slightly more sharp angles and things, the Huntsman V2 feels like a positively more minimalistic offering. Apart from the company emblem on the wrist rest that you can see there, there's no real makings that this is a Razer keyboard unless you're very astute and recognise the typeface. As I say, a lot of keyboards that are a kind of over 200 quid these days, like the Huntsman V2 Analog, the SteelSeries Apex Pro, and the Asus ROG Claymore 2, which are three keyboards I definitely rate highly in today's market, all seem to come with rather standout and statement features. The Apex Pro's got its OLED display in the top right-hand corner. The Huntsman V2 Analog, as the name suggests, features analog switches, and the ROG Claymore 2 features a rather clever magnetic modular design. But the Huntsman V2, by comparison, just sits under the 200 quid range and therefore seems to be excused from having a rather needless feature, if you like. It's just a damn good all-round gaming keyboard. You won't find any macro keys here, but to be honest, it's not actually as sore of a miss as you may perhaps expect, given how powerful Synapse 3 is. You'll know that I rate Razer Synapse 3 very highly when it wants to work, and it is a fantastic piece of software nonetheless. Despite this, though, you will find some decent multimedia controls with some relatively hard and tactile feeling kind of media playback buttons and a rather nice volume roller, as it were, that's slightly rubberized on the sides alongside a rather clicky mute button, which is rather nice. It's a little less obtrusive by way of the volume dial than on other Razer keyboards of the past, and isn't kind of splinter inducing like what Logitech have done on their G915 Lightspeed. The wrist rest here is nicely convenient. It's made of a nice plush leatherette and feels rather comfortable when you're using it. It's nice Razer have included one, really. And unlike, say, Razer's Black Widow V3 Pro, where the wrist rest didn't attach at all, this one simply attaches via magnets. There's no clips or anything. There's magnets on the underside of the keyboard that just clip the wrist rest into place, and away you go. It's that easy. On the front of things that feel rather nice too, the keycaps here, as well as carrying a rather nice typeface, are double shot and made of PBT plastic, which reflects the overall premium feel of the Huntsman V2. PBT plastic, in short, is a little bit more durable and long-lasting than their ABS counterparts, and is a typical kind of hallmark of more expensive and premium gaming keyboards, especially within the last couple of years. And given that you may well be using this keyboard for both day-to-day working and gaming, more premium keycaps are definitely a noteworthy inclusion. So what about performance? Well, considering I said this is a keyboard that kind of by way of its looks may seem a little bit nondescript, the same is certainly not true with regards to its performance figures. For its switches, the Huntsman V2 utilises Razer's seemingly signature optical switches these days. You can either get it in a linear or clicky form, and as you can tell, This one is rather clicky indeed. They come with a 45 centinewton actuation force that in reality offers you the best of both worlds. You've got the satisfaction of having an audible click and a light force that's ideal for gaming. It feels super responsive, and you won't find many better switches for gaming keyboards than Razer's optical ones. Optical switches essentially work via a light gate, which means for those pro gamers who are looking for incremental increases, they should be a little bit quicker than your more traditional, kind of more mechanical switches. Speaking of features that are probably more designed for pro gamers than kind of nerds in bedrooms like me, another reason that the Huntsman V2 feels so responsive is because you're getting an 8,000 Hz polling rate. In short, polling rate refers to the frequency at which a keyboard or mouse or general peripheral will report its inputs to a PC. Frequency, hence the measure of hertz. I've previously encountered this on Razer's Viper 8K, which I've lauded for being one of the best wired gaming mice out there today. And having a high refresh rate makes all the difference, and it's the similar story with the Huntsman V2 and keyboards. What this translates to in reality is less latency, which therefore results in a more responsive and less laggy experience. And 8,000 Hz is kind of 8 times more than you should really be encountering on gaming keyboards. You'll mostly find that they offer 1,000 or maybe 1,500 Hz if you're lucky, but 8,000 really can take things to the next level. And if you're a pro gamer, this should work absolutely fine for you. You'll also find that there's a pretty decent and standard issue USB-A wired connection, complete with a rather handy braided cable that I unfortunately can't fit into the frame, but otherwise that just offers you a handy zero latency experience and also feels rather decent as well. And what that should do fundamentally by offering you a zero latency experience is just essentially make the Huntsman V2 offer a complete esports package for pros and casuals alike. But what about software and lighting? Well, as I say, if you've watched any of our Razer reviews before, which are all handily linked on a playlist on the channel page, you'll know that we've showcased Synapse 3, Razer's accompanying software, an awful lot of times. And to be honest, it's always on that software side where Razer have always delivered. Synapse 3 is a pretty decent set of software, offering you some rather intuitive functions, and for the Huntsman V2 that can take the form of per key customization, be it for the RGB lighting or kind of programming macros and things like that, which is of course going to be handy for pros and casuals alike if that's the kind of thing you're into. But Synapse, I can't help but starting to think that given all sorts of different features, so Philips Hue integration, Nano Leaf light integration, Chroma Studio and all things like that, it is feeling a little bit bloated. Like you're getting an awful lot of features that you either don't necessarily want or need. And I know that Razer do give you the opportunity to kind of choose what you install when you install Synapse. You kind of just click all the boxes and just install it as you would any other normal programs. You just want to get it all out of the way. But I can't help but think that by comparison to other software out there, that Synapse is perhaps feeling a smidgen bloated these days. On the front of lighting, though, as I say, Razer always seem to deliver, and the Huntsman V2 is no different. As you're going to see on the screen at the moment, it's cycling through a spectrum of colour from blues to greens to purples and so on, and each of them all look rather good. Within Synapse, you can, of course, fiddle this from a long list of presets, or with Chroma Studio quite handily, customise the RGB to your own taste. It's all very simple, it's all very easy to use, and comes out looking rather fantastic indeed. So really on the front of software and lighting, the Huntsman V2 does deliver, even if the software itself is starting to feel a little bit bloated. So, in conclusion, should you buy Razer's Huntsman V2? Well, if you're somebody who's looking for ludicrously high polling rate and a keyboard that's designed for pro gamers, then the Huntsman V2 will offer you that. Its 8,000 Hz polling rate makes it ludicrously responsive in games and really offers you a kind of unparalleled experience if you are a pro, especially considering you're going to be the ones that are getting the most out of these features. Also, if you want some rather good feeling switches that offer you the best of both worlds with a tactile click and a light actuation force, then you're in luck. They feel pretty good to type on, and that light force is marvellous for gaming as well. And also, if you're somebody who wants plenty of customization and some of the best RGB lighting out there today, then the Huntsman V2 certainly delivers on that front, as do a lot of other Razer products, and I have no hesitation in recommending the Huntsman V2 to any of you if you're looking for a next level gaming keyboard that can upgrade your setup. The only thing that's a little bit iffy is perhaps the price. 199 quid is an awful lot of money to spend on a keyboard these days, even if you aren't getting any additional features like analog switches or an OLED display. But for those who just want something powerful and simple to use, then you can't really go wrong with what's on your screen at the moment. Now, really, all I've got left to say is that if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and of course subscribe to the channel, and to ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. We've got a fair amount of enthusiast-driven keyboard content with some intriguing boards coming up soon, so make sure to ring the bell down below so you don't miss those videos when they go live eventually. To follow us on Twitter and indeed Instagram, links should be appearing on the screen for that right about now. And also, if you want to rep the Untitled brand, as it were, there'll be the Untitled Spring Store down in the description that's been running for around a year or so now, where you can pick up all sorts of t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, mugs, wall art, canvas art, pint glasses, and everything in between. The stuff that Spring sell is of rather good quality, and they do ship worldwide, which is absolutely fantastic. And if you like any of the kit that we feature in these videos, be it this Huntsman V2 or any of the other myriads of keyboards, mice, headsets, multimedia controllers, laptops, and everything in between that we've covered over the last couple of years, then there'll be Amazon links down in the description of those respective videos where you can pick all that stuff up. So once again, thank you very much for watching.